you're looking for some cute and beginner-friendly and also perfect for the summer. Well, I've got just the keychain for you. Hello everyone and welcome to Amparo Wonderland. Today we will be learning how to create this cute little keychain, which is, as you can see, shaped as a watermelon, and the back has the shell portion of it. So I call this the end of a watermelon. And this is actually part of a 3-in-1 pattern bundle that I have available in my online store. So you can find that if you're interested, where it shows you this one has the half of a watermelon and also our sliced watermelon. But for today, we are going to be working on this cute one, and I'm actually going to give you the free pattern for this cute watermelon keychain. So if you are interested, make sure you go ahead and grab that free pattern down below so that way you can follow along during this video tutorial. So let's go ahead and get to our materials. Here we've got our materials. As you can see, all we need are, of course, our yarn, keyring, darning needle, some best friends here, the stitch markers, our crochet hook, and a little bit of stuffing. If you want more detailed instructions on what exactly I am using here, then you want to go ahead and check it out in the description box down below. So without further ado, let's stop talking and let's get yarning! Alright, so here we've got our crochet hook, and the first color we will be working with is the red color yarn. To begin this pattern, what we need is we are going to create a magic ring. If you do not know how to make a magic ring, I do have a short available for you. You can follow along with the short up there in the top right corner, or you can follow along with this video. Also, I do want you to keep in mind that during this video, we will be using US terms. Okay, so now that we've got our magic ring here, we are going to start working into our magic ring. And this stitch we will be using is the single crochet. So first, we're going to go into our magic ring in here, and we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop. We've got 2 loops on our hook. So now you're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops that are there. And that's going to be your first single crochet of the magic ring. So go ahead and grab your best friend and mark it up so that way you don't get confused. We will be working in joining rounds as well, so just so you are aware as we continue with this pattern. Now let's go ahead and create more single crochet. We need to make 6 single crochet in total inside this magic ring. So go ahead and create those, and then I'll see you afterward. Alright, so we've got our 6 single crochet here, and what we're going to do is that we're going to close our magic ring. To close the magic ring, we see 2 ends here. This is your working yarn. We will not be using that. We need to have this end here. This end we are going to pull, and the rest of the stitches are going to be held with your other hand. So go ahead and hold on to your stitches and pull this little strand, and it's just simply going to close your ring. If it does not close your ring, that means that you may have to redo your magic ring and you did something incorrect, and so you will have to redo it. I'm so sorry if that's the case, but don't worry, just pause and repeat, and I will be here when you get to this point. So now we are in round 2. For round 2, as I said, we are going to be doing joining rounds. So for joining rounds, what you're going to do is that we are also going to do the seamless join. Yes, there's a lot of terms going on in here. So go ahead and extend and remove your hook from the loop. And we're going to go into our first stitch here of the round. But instead of going through the front, we're going to go through the back. So go ahead and place your hook through the back into that first stitch, your first single crochet of the round. Now you're going to grab your loop and place it back onto your hook, like that. And then that loop, we're going to pull it right through the stitch there. Just take your time with this part. It could get a little messy if it gets caught. Now that it's through, you just want to simply tighten it as much as you can. And if this is extended, you want to make sure that that's also tightened. So tighten it up with your working yarn as much as you can again. And now we're going to chain 1 and we're going to create increases. Increases is when you do 2 stitches into 1 stitch. And in this case, we are going to do 2 single crochet into each stitch from the previous round. So that means that you should have a total of 12 single crochet or 12 stitches in total. So first, your first increase has to go into the same stitch that you just worked that slip stitch into. And you're going to go right in there like so. And then you're going to create a single crochet. So you yarn over and then you pull through those 2 loops like that. So that's going to be your first stitch of that round. So go ahead and grab your best friend and mark it up so you don't get lost when you come back to it. Now, work again a single crochet into that same exact stitch. Do not move on yet. So the same stitch, you go into your stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. You got your 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2. So now you've got an increase because you created 2 single crochet into that 1 stitch. So now we can move on to the next one and you're going to do the same thing and create an increase. So 2 single crochet into the next stitch. Like so. And that's it. It's that simple. So go ahead all the way around and do the same thing and create an increase into each stitch. And don't forget that at the end of this round, you should have a total of 12 stitches. Alright, so I've got my 12 stitches here. You want to make sure that you do count at the end of each round so that way you do not miss a stitch, because if you do, it's just going to mess with the whole pattern. Alright, so now that we have ended round 2, we're going to join our round the same exact way. So I'm going to show you if you want to keep your stitch in there, that is completely fine. So let's go ahead and extend our loop and remove our hook. Now we're going to go into the back of that stitch. I'm actually going to remove it because the stitch is a little on the tight side, so it makes my hook a little impossible to get it through. So we're going to go through the back of our first stitch. And now we're going to grab that loop that you removed from your hook and you're going to place it back onto your hook. And now that loop, you're going to pull it right through back here into that stitch that you are in. And now it's more of a loose join right now, so you want to tighten it. So tighten that join as much as you can. And then you're going to tighten that loop that's on your hook with your working yarn. You just tighten it up, just pull it as much as you can. And now you have your join. And now what we're going to do is that we are in round 3. So for round 3, again, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to follow this pattern. It is 1 single crochet and then an increase in the next stitch. So first we do 1 single crochet into that same stitch where you made a slip stitch. You're going to go right in there and create 1 single crochet. Mark up that first stitch so that way you don't get lost. And now we can move on to the next stitch and we're going to create an increase. So again, that means 2 stitches in 1 stitch. So 2 single crochet into this next stitch here. Just like that. So you should have 3 stitches in total, which we have worked into the first 2 stitches. Now the next stitch, like I said, we're going to do 1 single crochet. So just do 1 single crochet. And then in the next stitch, we do an increase. And you just repeat this over and over again all the way around. And this is a total of 6 times. So that means that at the end of this round, you should have a total of 18 stitches. So go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around of 1 single crochet and then an increase into the next. And I'll see you at the end. All right, we have made it to the end of our round. So now we are going to join just like we have been doing with extending our loop, going to the back of that first stitch, and then slip stitching your loop back through that stitch. Right? And then you tighten it as much as you can, and then you tighten the working yarn. Now this part is going to be a little different because we are actually going to be switching colors. So we are done with red and we're going to move on to the color white. So for white, we are not fastening off red just yet because I'm going to show you a little trick that you can use to try and hide your strand as you go. So that way you don't have to weave in all of your ends at the end of the pattern. Now, normally you want to chain one with your red, but instead we are going to chain one with our white color yarn. So grab your white, place it right onto the hook. You want to leave a little bit of a strand out here as well. Maybe like, what's that, like 3 or 4 inches or so. And then you're going to slip it right through that loop that was on your hook already. Make sure you keep that as tight as you can with the red. So you want to tighten the red as much as you can. And the same thing with the white. Try to get it as tight as possible. It's a little difficult just because it's not attached to anything. So it does end up loosening the red a little bit. But just do your best. So now that we have our chain one here, we're going to work into that same stitch just like we did before with the red. But instead of the red, we're going to use our white. And the pattern we're going to use is that we're going to do 1 single crochet, an increase, and then 1 single crochet. And then you repeat that 6 times. Okay, so let me show you how we do that. So we're going to work into that same stitch again, like I said, where we did our slip stitch. We're going to go into the stitch. It's a little difficult just because we are using this new color, but do your best into getting into that stitch. It took me a little bit to get that, but I got it. So now we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. All right, then we yarn over and pull through. And that's going to be your first stitch of the round. So go ahead and mark that up so that way you don't lose it when you get back to that at the end of the round. All right, so now let me show you what we're going to do with our ends. So first, as I said, we did 1 single crochet, and now we're going to do an increase into the next stitch. So place your hook into the next stitch, grab your ends that you are no longer working with. So your white and your red. Your white end is the one that you're not using, and the red is the one that you had already used. So go ahead and then place them over your hook like so. And now you can finish your stitch. So you yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. And like I said, it's an increase. So you want to go back into that same stitch and do the same thing. Yarn over and pull up the loop, yarn over and pull through 2. And then in the next stitch, we're going to go and create 1 single crochet. But you want to bring those pieces over on top of your hook and then finish your stitch. And like I said, all that's doing is just weaving in your pieces as you go. So that way at the end of your pattern, you don't have to weave them in. So now the next one is a 1 single crochet because we are repeating that pattern. And then an increase into the next stitch while bringing those pieces over. We're going to do 2 single crochet into that 1 stitch, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet into the next one. And it's that simple. So go ahead and continue that pattern all the way around while weaving in your ends. I will show you what to do when you can't weave in anymore. So go ahead and I will see you there. Alright, so as you can see, my end is pretty short, so it's going to get a little more difficult to weave it in. So what you are going to do is that you are going to snip off the red as well. You could do it the same length as the white or shorter, whatever you prefer. And now, if you do not want to continue weaving in, you simply just leave them there and continue the process of doing your stitches. Okay, so now we are ending round 4 here, and we're going to do that same process that we've been doing of joining through the back on the first stitch here. Now that we have our join of the white, I have not chained one yet because we are actually going to switch to our new color for round 5. For round 5, we're using our green yarn. You are welcome to use any of the colors that you want for your watermelon, of course. You do not have to use exactly the ones that I'm using. Now go ahead and slip that green color in there and make sure you tighten that white and the green. And now we are going to work into that same stitch once again like we did last time, and we're going to create a single crochet. So go into that first stitch where you created your slip stitch and create a single crochet. That single crochet is going to be your first stitch of the round. So go ahead and mark it up with your best friend here. And now let me tell you the pattern before we continue. We are going to do 3 single crochet, so this is 1, and then the next stitch is going to be an increase, and that's it. That's the pattern. So 1 single crochet into the first 3, this is the third one, and then an increase into the next stitch. So that means 2 single crochet in that same stitch. Okay? And we repeat that. So you do 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, that's my second one, and 1 single crochet in the next one, that's the third one. And then we do our increase into the next stitch. So 2 single crochet in that 1 single stitch. Okay, and you just repeat that pattern all the way around. You should have a total of 24 stitches at the end of the round. So go ahead and take care of that and then come back to me and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Perfect. So we are at the end of our round here. So this time we are just going to finalize it with a regular slip stitch from the front to the back instead of working through the back. And a slip stitch, you just simply yarn over, pull up that loop, and that loop goes right through that back loop on your hook. And that is it. You have finished, semi-finished, the front part of your watermelon. So we're going to go ahead and fasten off this green. And then you're going to pull this right out like so. And that is it. As you can see, turning in the back, I did forget to weave in my white. So now I have to deal with the weaving in of this white. So if you did that as well, you want to go ahead and fasten off. That way you can weave that in with your darning needle. So the ones that you do not have to weave in are these little short ones, which are the ones that we were weaving in as we worked our piece. So you just simply cut the X's of those little short ones as close to the piece as you can without cutting anything else. And that's it. That should be good. So I'm going to go ahead and weave in my other ends that I forgot to weave in as I worked my piece. But before that, I want to show you how we are going to finalize this. So grab your darning needle if you haven't grabbed it yet. We're going to thread our working yarn into the eye of the needle. And now for this stitch, we see this is where we created our slip stitch over here, as you can see. So we're going to skip the first stitch here, the next one, and then the one after that, we're working into that one. And we're going from the front to the back, like this, and just place your darning needle right through and tighten a little. And then after you tighten, we're going to go back to the slip stitch, which is your last stitch of the round, and we're going to go through the back loop only. So each stitch has a front loop and the back loop. This is our front loop here, but we want to work through the back loop only. So go right through there from the front to back. And that creates a false stitch, and now you have a perfect circle for your watermelon. So go ahead and weave in all of your ends and then come back and I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. All right, here we go. So I have weaved in all of my ends. As you can see, it's not very pretty in the back, which is completely fine because this is not going to be seen with our keychain because we are actually going to create the back of the keychain, which is the skin of the watermelon. So this is what it should look like in the back. That's the front. But before we move forward with the back, we're going to create our seeds for our watermelon. And that is very simple. All you got to do is that you got to grab your darning needle. And then we're going to grab our black colored yarn. And you are going to cut off a length. You can make it 12 inches or so. You can make it shorter. It depends on how many seeds you will be creating on your watermelon. So I'm going to go ahead and just create 5 seeds for this one. And all you got to do is that you're going to start from the back first. So I'm going to go right into this hole here. You're going to pull it up and you're going to leave a bit of an excess here. So maybe like 3 to 4 inches or so of the black yarn. And then you're going to move on to creating the line, which is going to be your seed. So I like to go straight down. And you just go right in there like that. And then you pull it out from the back. And just make sure you hold this piece that you have there, because if you don't, it's just going to slip right out. So you go right in there like so. Try not to tighten it too much because then it makes it too small. So I'm going to go ahead and create another one here. So I'm going to make one here. Again, wherever your needle is, that's where you start off. So my needle is now in the front. So I'm going to work in the front. So I'm going to go right down here. And again, make sure you hold on to this end here, which is the end that you left at the beginning. And it's that simple. So like I said, needle is in the back. So that means that the next move is going to be made in the back. So you just go right in there, pull it up, go straight down the line, and there. You don't have to go straight down the line. You can literally just go across this way. Like I said, a watermelon seed is, not uniform to each watermelon. So you put them wherever you wish. And here I am making my last seed. I'll put it here. And then I'll go straight down. And that's it. Those are my seeds, and you can make them longer lengths, shorter lengths. If you want to do different colors, you can do different colors, whatever you prefer. So now that I'm done here, it's very easy. You are just going to tie a knot. Because this back side is not going to be seen, you do not have to be worried too much about how it looks. So I just do a double knot. You can do a triple knot just to be on the safe side. And then you are just going to cut off the excess of this black yarn. You can keep it in and use it as part of the stuffing, but I personally like to remove it. And that is it. So the back of mine looks like this, and the front looks like this. So yours may look similar, looks different, whatever it is completely fine. That is the beauty of this pattern. You can make it as unique as you want with yours. So now that we have finished the front part of our watermelon, we're going to move on to the back side. Alright, so for the back, we need to have our 2 colors here, which is the dark green and like a turquoise color. You are more than welcome to use whatever colors you want for the back of your keychain. For purposes of this video, the olive color will be color A and this turquoise color will be color B, just to make it less confusing. Now, to start, we need to create our magic ring, just like we did for our front part of the watermelon. So go ahead and create your magic ring. And then we are going to create 6 single crochet into our magic ring here. So it's just like we started our front part of the watermelon. It's exactly the same way. We're just using this color A. So create your 6 single crochet into the magic ring. Now that we have our 6 single crochet here, we're going to go ahead and close our magic ring. So don't forget, we grab our shorter end and hold on to the rest of the stitches with the other hand and just pull that shorter end all the way until you can't anymore. And now for this one, we're going to be working in the spiral rounds, or also known as the continuous rounds. So instead of joining, what we're going to do is that we're just going to go straight right into it and work into the next stitch right away. So we're going to go in there and we're going to create an increase. So we're actually creating an increase into each stitch. So go ahead and create the first single crochet, but before you finalize the second single crochet, we are actually going to finish that off with the new color. So grab color B and slip it right onto your hook and just finish the stitch like so. And before we move on, because we are working in spirals, it is very important to mark up that first stitch, because if not, you're going to get completely lost and you're not going to realize, unless you're counting, but you're not going to realize where your first stitch was made. All right, so now that we have our new color, we're going to move on to the next stitch and create again an increase with our color B. And make sure you weave in your pieces as you go along, so that way you don't have to worry about it when you come back. And again, for this one, when you create your second stitch, do not finalize it with the new color. We're going to switch back to color A for that second single crochet. And you just repeat that all the way around. So again, create an increase while weaving in your pieces. Create the first single crochet regularly, and then the second single crochet, you finalize it with the other color. Okay, so go all the way around, repeating that process, and you should have a total of 12 single crochet or 12 stitches in total. I will see you at the end. Hi there, future me here. So my audio was lost for this part of the video, but no worries, I've got you. So what we are going to do for this next round, which is round 3, we are going to create the pattern as follows. It is an increase and then a single crochet. The first one, we're going to start working with our color A, and we're going to do our increase. Make sure you carry those ends over with you, so that way you don't have to weave them in later. In the first single crochet, you want to mark up, because we want to make sure we don't lose track of where our first stitch is when we come back to it. Create your second single crochet in the same stitch, but do not finalize it with this color. We are going to finalize it with color B. So let's go ahead and take care of that first and switch up with our color B. So after that, we're going to go ahead and create our 1 single crochet into the next stitch while carrying over our other ends. For this one, it's only 1 single crochet, so we are going to actually end it with our color A here. So now that we finished that, we're just going to continue to do that pattern. So an increase with color A, carry over your pieces, and the first stitch of the increase will be a normal one, and then the second stitch of the increase, we ended with color B. So just keep switching up like this, following this same pattern all the way around. So for the next one, we do 1 single crochet again with this new color, but we do not finish it with that same color. Instead, we switch it once again with color A. So follow this pattern all the way around, and then when you finish, you should have a total of 18 stitches. So go ahead and take care of that. If you want, you can rewind if you get a little lost, but do not worry. Go ahead and take care of that, or go ahead and grab that free pattern. Don't forget, it is free. So take advantage. You can find that in the description box down below. All right, I'll see you at the end of this round. Present time me here. So now that we have finished this round, we are on to the next round. And for this round, we are going to follow the pattern as an increase, and then the next stitch is 2 single crochet. So increase, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet. So let's go ahead and take care of that. First, we start with color A into this first stitch, and we're going to create an increase. So it's very similar to the other one, it's just a little different. So we're going to do an increase, but as we have been doing for our second stitch in the increase, we're going to finalize it with our color B. And also make sure that you mark up that first stitch, so that way you do not miss it when you come back to it. Now we're going to create a single crochet into the next 2 stitches. So 2 single crochets. So 1, let me just weave in my pieces as I go. So 1, and then the second one is going to be finalized with color A. Da, da, da. There you go. And now we repeat. So we do an increase with color A, Do an increase into that next stitch. Whoops. And finalize that second stitch with color B. And now we're going to work into the next 2 stitches and create 1 single crochet with that color B. I hope this is making sense so far. If it is, good. If not, definitely drop me a comment down below and I can try and help you out the best that I can, because I want to make sure that you all can do this pattern for yourself. So finalize that second single crochet with color A, and we repeat once again. Okay, so do the increase with color A, the second stitch of the increase, you end it with color B. Then with color B, you create 2 single crochet. And when you do the second single crochet, you finalize it with color A. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. If not, go ahead and rewind the video, and that way you can see what I'm talking about and you can just follow along as you go all the way around. So for the end of this round, you should have a total of 24 stitches. So go ahead and finalize the round and then come back to me and I'll show you what we're going to do next. All right, we have made it to the end of the round and we are now on our final round. For this round, we are going to follow this pattern of an increase in the first stitch and then 1 single crochet into the next 3. So let's go ahead and create our increase with color A. So go right into that stitch and you're going to grab color A, create that first single crochet and mark it up with your best friend, and then create the second single crochet and finalize it with color B. And now with color B, we're going to do 3 single crochet. So 1 single crochet into the next 3. So 1, 2, and 3. But for this third one, like we have been doing, we're going to switch it into color A. Okay, like that. And then we repeat. So do an increase into the next stitch with color A and finalize that second stitch with color B. Perfect. And now we do 3 single crochet with color B. So 1, 2, and 3. Keep in mind, you do not necessarily need to weave in your pieces if you don't want to. This is just so you don't have to weave it in at the end. So as you can see, I did not finalize my stitch with the new color. So if you want, you can frog that stitch and just redo it, or you can just go through the front here, the front 2 loops, grab your new color and slip it right through, and then remove that color like so. And that's it. So you have switched flawlessly. So go ahead and continue the pattern of doing the increase and then the 3 single crochet while switching the colors, just like we did for these first few stitches. So at the end of this round, you should have a total of 30 stitches. So go ahead and take care of that and then come back to me, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to assemble our watermelon. All right, so we have made it at the end. What we're going to do to finalize this round completely is that we're going to go into the next stitch and we're going to create a simple slip stitch. So to create the slip stitch, you go into yarn over and pull up that loop, and that loop pulls right through the back there. And there you have it. You have a slip stitch. So now we can go ahead and fasten off our ends here. So go ahead and fasten off. And we're just going to pull that green right over. So you can go ahead and weave in your ends however you wish, or if you want to, you can create that false stitch that we did with our front part of the watermelon. So I'm going to go ahead and create that first. So if you want to follow along, you can do that as well. So we made our slip stitch in here, so we're going to skip to the second one. Go from the front to back, pull a little bit, go back to our slip stitch, and go into the back loop only. And we have made our false stitch there. So now you can go ahead and weave in the end, or you are also more than welcome to just leave them there and use them as part of the stuffing. So get your front part and your stuffing, and also some green, some color A available so we can put these together. Alright, so we've got our ends weaved in and ready to go. So what we're going to do is that we are going to have the backs of each piece to go on top of each other. So just sandwich it like this. And because each one is made with the same amount of rounds for the last round, you are able to align them as best as you can, one stitch to one stitch. So to join them together, we are going to grab our handy dandy crochet hook here and our color A yarn. First, place your hook into any stitch that you want and just go right through the stitch in one side and then do it again onto the other side, like that. So you are sandwiched together and you have your hook going through one stitch for both sides. I hope that makes sense. So now go ahead and grab your color A and we're going to slip it right through like that. It's that easy. So go ahead and create a chain and then we're going to go into the next stitch for both sides once again. So go into the front and then in the back as well. Just like that. You're not skipping any stitches, you're going right along the way. You're going to pull it up and you're going to create a slip stitch. So go ahead, that loop that you pulled up, pull it right through that back loop there. Okay, so that's one. And that means that you should have a total of 30 slip stitches. So that's one, and this is the second one here. Well, technically this should be your third one because the first one we made a chain. So continue to go around, and when you get about the 20th stitch, you want to come back because I'm going to show you how we're going to stuff it before we go all the way around. Okay, so I am on my 20th slip stitch here, and as you can see, it has a little pocket in there. So that is where you are going to go ahead and stuff your keychain. You do not need a whole lot of stuffing. I do suggest that you do little by little. You can make this super bulky. You can just give it a little bit of a squish, whatever your preference is. That is how much stuffing you are going to be putting in there. So I am satisfied with this little puff here. So now that that is in there, I can continue to create my slip stitches. And it's that simple. You just go all the way around and finalize with the slip stitch. So go ahead and create your slip stitches all the way around and then come back and I'm going to show you how we are going to attach our keyring, and then we are going to be done. Yes, we have made it. So now that we did our final slip stitch, I did another slip stitch where we created our first slip stitch so that way it can kind of join a little better. So now we are going to attach our keyring. So extend your loop and we are going to actually fasten this off, but we're going to fasten it off with a long tail so that way we can use it to attach our keyring. This is it's about 30 inches or so. I just measured it. So now that we have fastened off, we can extend this loop all the way, and that way it brings it right out. Now for this other piece, which is where we started it, we are going to grab our darning needle and we can just weave it into the piece itself. It's very easy, very simple. So go into that same stitch where you're at. Let me zoom in here. And you're going to just go in there and go all the way down here and go into any stitch across like this. And now we're going to do that again. So go into that same stitch where you're in and go across somewhere else. And that is just tangling your piece in there with all the fill that we have. And you just continue that process all the way until you don't have any more of the yarn, or until you are satisfied with how short it is and you think it's secure, and you just fasten off like so. I will show you. You extend it so it can coil back in. Go as close to the piece as you can. Snip, and it goes right back in. And that's it. Very, very simple and easy. So now that we have this strand here, you don't need to cut it off that long. That was a little excessive, but you do want a longer strand so that way you can use this to attach it to your keychain, or to attach it to your keyring. So grab your keyring. This is the one I'm going to be using. You are more than welcome to use a lobster claw or whatever other claw you've got for your keyring. And we're going to slip it right through this bottom loop here. You can extend it if you want, doesn't matter. It depends on how long you want your keyring to be. So then you just put it right through and have the keyring go right to the end there where your piece is at, like so. And then we are simply just going to go into the front here and just put it right through like that, and just tighten it so that way it doesn't move anymore. Okay, so that should be in place. And then we're going to go back into the keyring, that bottom chain, put your yarn right through, and go back into that same stitch where you went through earlier from the front. Tighten it, and then go again through the ring from the back and into that stitch where you went through. And pull it all the way and tighten it. So you want to do that a few times, at least 4 or 5 times or so, until you feel like it is tight enough. So I'm going to go ahead and do it one more time in here. But this time, when I go through the back here, instead of pulling all the way, I'm going to place my darning needle through the hoop here. And what that's going to do is that's going to create a little knot there. Like that. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to do exactly what we did with the other piece, where we thread it through the watermelon. And we're just going to do that method to hide this piece. Just make sure it doesn't get tangled up like it almost did for me. Like so. That's why you don't necessarily need that long of a strand, but it does help make sure that you have enough to tie it around. So just do this method all the way until you are satisfied. You can go through the back like that, but like I said, when you go back in, just make sure you go through that same hole so that way the piece is not any noticeable. You don't want to make any stitches on the outer part. So go ahead and hide that piece to the best of your abilities. And then we are going to fasten off. So you extend the piece so that way when you snip it off, it bounces right back in and you don't have to worry about it. And if for any reason it does poke out a little bit, just use your darning needle to push it in, or your hook, or even your scissors. If you have really thin scissors, you can push the little piece back in there and it'll be just fine. And that's it. You've got yourself a cute little watermelon keychain. Isn't it super cute? And it was definitely easy and beginner friendly. The only difficult part is, I will have to say, the switching of the colors. But besides that, it is a very generic circle attachment together and then attach your keyring. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, definitely give it a thumbs up because it helps me out figure out what kind of videos you'll like to have or follow along with. And also, don't forget to grab the free pattern for this keychain which also comes from a bundle which has our half of a watermelon, our watermelon slice, and like the one you just did. So the bundle is on sale right now on my shop or also Etsy. You can find those two links in the description box down below. And besides that, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, definitely let me know in the comment section down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So, if you did enjoy this video, then you are going to love this video right here. So, I will see you there, and if not, then I will see you in the next one. Bye!